Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the video. If you haven't checked out the Don't Tell My Wife group on Facebook, make sure you do. It's a great community. And if you're a collector, especially with Mafex, you should definitely be a part of that group. Now, it has released the Mafex Batman, the Knight Crusader Batman. It is number 215 on the Mafex line. Today's the review. Here we have a look at the side of the box, the other side of the box. Not so bad. And we have the back of the box. You can see that you get a lot of looks with this Batman. So if you're a fan of the character, you get a lot of different posability options. Now, the heads, we have 3. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 additional hands. You have the body itself, the batarang, and the additional cowl top piece with the other cape. So, taking a look at the hands, this is the first kind of open, relaxed hands, standard for I think most of the Mafex figures. Very nice, good sculpt. Everything is blue, so pretty nice. This one, I like this sculpt. I like all of the fingers in different positions. I'm going to actually use this on my figure. This one, his martial arts hands, I guess, for chopping the bad guy in the neck. And we have these hands slightly open for grasping the cable, the wire for the batarang. We also have a bit of grasping hands for the batarang itself. So those are the 5 sets of extra hands. Here's the batarang. The entire wire is, or the cable is wired, so you can pose it pretty well, as you can see. And then we have the cowl top for the neck piece. This is for the rebreather sculpt, and this one here, I guess, is for the more elongated, pointed ears. So here is the rebreather piece, Batman with his pacifier. It's not bad. There's no, like most Mafex figures, there's no seam in the head that's noticeable. So it's very good. Here is the elongated ears, Batman. I like this head. I'll probably go with this head for my own display. Take a look at the symmetry there. So cool figure. Cool headpiece. And here's the figure itself, out of the package, out of the box. Let's take a look a little bit closer up. You can see that scowl on his face. I'm not a big fan of this top piece. I know that a lot of people do like it, but it's not for me. I'll be taking that off. You can see where it plugs in right there on the chest. So taking a look down on the body, the blues and the grays are great. They do really go well together. They chose very nice coloring there. So there's the figure. Now, taking a look here for the head, you get about this much range going down, and you get about that much going up, but you do get that gap. Going to the left, you get about there. Going to the right, you get a little bit more range. To the side, not so much. It's kind of hindered by that cowl top piece. So you can see that those ears are kind of a soft plastic rubber. Now, you do get that drop on the arm, as you can see, and you do get that butterfly joint, which is nice. But if you can take a look, the paint on mine is very, very different from the arm and the chest itself. So It's a little bit annoying. I don't know if that's specifically my particular piece. It's not the same on the other side. It's just that side's darker. So, a little bit odd, a little bit weird. You get the bicep swivel, which is good. Again, that drop. You can move that arm across his chest, which is also very good, as you can see. Allows for good posability. And on the double jointed elbow, you get a lot of good range there as well. Hand is pretty standard, but it doesn't stay on the peg, the wrist peg, very well. So that might be an issue. Now going up, you get to there simply because of that sculpted cowl piece. And you do have that gap, which I'm not a fan of. That cowl really does get in the way, as you can see. You really have to have those shoulders up in order to not make it look so silly. So like I said, I'm not going to have that piece on. I don't like that very noticeable gap. Now for the ab crunch, you only get a little bit, as you can see. Not much at all. And moving back, you get that not so great gap. Again, as you can see. So when you try to close that gap, you get almost no articulation going backwards. Now you do get some range, as you can see, to the side, but there's no real good sculpting there. So why would you do that? You know, you have great sculpting everywhere else, and then it kind of goes just bland. Now the belt, utility belt, you can shift it a little bit, but you can't really move it. Or I didn't want to try anyway. And at the waist, you don't get much movement either. So with the leg, you do get that drop down effect, as you can see. So for the range going out, you get 90 degrees. However, going back, what do you get? 2 degrees, even with that drop down, because of the sculpt. Very bad choice here. Look at that. You get nothing. Nothing at all. Like you couldn't have designed this better. So the drop down allows you to do the split to about there. Now we'll talk about that cape in a second. It's very, very heavy. So you get great range on the knee. And you get some pretty good range on the foot as well. You get good up and down, and you get a bit of a rocker swivel as well. Toes, of course. So the cape is wired. You get 4 wires, one there, one on the end, so right there on the end, and then you get one right there where my thumb is. There's nothing in the middle, and then as you go to the other side, it's basically in the same spot. So right there, and then on the end. I'm trying to just extend the cape here. That cape, at least with this cowl, but I think it's the cape itself, is so heavy that it's a little bit hard to pose them sometimes. So there's the image with the cape extended. I think the cape proportions are great on this figure. It's not too big, it's not too small. I think it's just right. So let's remove that head. It's attached at the chest. You just pull it up. See, take it off. And now we have a headless Batman. So let's put on the other piece. Just fasten it on there. This one doesn't attach as well as the first one, but I prefer this cowl more. So I'm going to go with this one. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, if you could do so, I'd really appreciate it. If you're watching the video for the first time, watching the channel for the first time. So there you go. There's your Batman with the pointed ears. I like this look. I like the sculpt. I like the cowl. I won't be changing too much on it other than the hands. But, again, that cape, not the best. So the wires on this one are the same. They're exactly the same. You get 4. And as you can see in a second, the wire on the left is a lot stronger on mine than the wire on the right. I mean, it happens, but you hate when it happens, that wire right there. So I messed around with it a little bit. I got it a little bit better, but it's definitely not as good as the one on the other side. So if you try to pose them with that cape, you're gonna face something like that. So here's the figure in a little bit of a pose. I'm not the greatest for posing, but this is my take on the Knight Crusader Batman. Not so bad. So for a comparison, if you want to see a comparison with the figure, I did pose him with the new Dark Knight Returns Batman with the horse, so you can get a size comparison. The head is higher on this one than the new Batman. So you can see the difference in the size of the figures themselves, from the Dark Knight Returns and then this Knight Crusader Batman. It's not really possible to mix and match. So for my final thoughts on the figure, I would give it a score somewhere in the 7.5, 8 range. It's a good figure. It's not the best Batman they've made. They could have done better, but it's all right. So thanks for watching the video. Appreciate it. See you next time.